If you're a landlord, then you have to know that doing a detailed and thorough move-in inspection before your tenant moves in is going to protect you and your property and avoid problems down the road. But how do you make sure that you do it right? How do you make sure that you've covered all your bases? Today I'm going to share with you some tips on how to make sure that you do a thorough move-in inspection so that you document everything the right way so that you can avoid problems with your tenant down the road. So stay tuned. Hey there, I'm Sue Richey, and I am the owner of a residential property management company, and I'm a landlord myself. And so I've seen a lot of things, and we've had a lot of owners come to us who had issues with their tenant and tenants damaging their property. One of the things we found is that they were not doing good inspections in general. And so we make sure that we do a really good move-in inspections in particular, and that move-out. So let me tell you a little story. I remember one case in particular where we had a landlord who came to us and he said, I can't do this anymore. I'm just tired of tenants not taking care of my property. He had a tenant who was ready to move in. The tenant seemed nice. He just said, you know what, I'm out of town. I don't have time to do it. He didn't get anyone else to do it. Then come a year later, the tenant is moving out. He goes to do an inspection and finds that the floors are really damaged and the refrigerator, a couple of the appliances really aren't working well. He said this wasn't like this, and you see this situation happen frequently where, it becomes a he said, she said. The tenant said, well, I didn't damage any of this stuff. It just wasn't working that way. You know what? And this owner didn't have any proof, any documentation of what it was like before. So it became really, really difficult to then blame this tenant. You can try and go after their security deposit, but the tenant, is going to maybe fight that. And then you have to decide if it's really worth it and how much money that's worth. So having really good documentation is going to save you a lot of headache and save you money, because you'll be able to recoup that money from that security deposit if there's significant damage. All right, so how do you do a really good move-in inspection? I've got a few key points. First, you want to make sure that you have a checklist that you use every time and take good photos, okay? So you want to go through the house. This is going to be before a tenant moves in. So let's say your old tenant moved out, you did whatever repairs and updates you want to do, the house is clean and ready to go. So within a day or two, let's say before the new tenant moves in, go in, turn on all the lights, open all the blinds, take pictures of everything, every room, all the walls, the blinds, check all of the things that, are operational that could be damaged before. Make sure they're all in good working order. You want to take pictures of any, sort of damages, like are there scuffs on the wall? Are there other things that, that are just part of the property? They work, but maybe they're not perfect. Take pictures of that, because you don't want to charge your tenant, the new tenant, for that later. So go through the house and document it all. If you need to take any notes, make sure you take detailed notes about what it is, when something like that happened, and you'll be able to have a really clear, solid picture of what that house looks like on that date. So having a really structured checklist, make sure that you don't overlook anything. And some of the common things that we see that, can easily get overlooked are exhaust fans in bathrooms. Maybe you don't even bother to turn it on. Garage doors, making sure those work. Lights, make sure all the lights are working, the bulbs and everything, because that's something you could charge your tenant for if they don't replace them when they move out. These are things, of course, you want to include in your lease, but there are a lot of things you can't overlook. So the more detailed you get up front, the better, and you won't miss anything. And again, I know this is super tedious, but take the time to do it right up front, and it'll save you a lot of time later. Now that we talked about having the checklist, let's use that checklist from point number 2, which is to document everything. You're going to go through that checklist, and you're going to take all those pictures like we just talked about, and you're going to make notes of any kind of damage. Remember, your tenant is not going to be responsible for any sort of damage or wear and tear, the kind of things that were there before they moved in. So you want to make note of all that so that you don't get into a dispute later for things that really aren't the new tenant's fault. You also don't want to be responsible for anything beyond normal wear and tear that your new tenant does. So you want to really have a good snapshot, a good picture of what that property is like right now. So there are a couple ways that you can do these inspections. One is you can do it when the tenant is not there. And this is the way we do it in our company, because when we manage about almost 1,000 properties, it's really hard to coordinate all these move-in inspections with the tenants, because some of these tenants are coming in at the last minute, like right before their lease starts. And sometimes you have 10 or 20 move-ins in 1 month. It's hard for us to do that. So we've chosen to do it and have our inspection done a day or two before the tenant moves in. Everything is ready to go for the tenant. Our inspection happens and we walk through the property and do all the things that I mentioned, and this is all electronic. We use a software for this and we upload that and it's ready to go. Now, our tenant then has the opportunity when they move in to do their own inspection and make note of things that they see just for their own documentation, and they can turn that into us. We can, sort of compare the two, and if there are things that we need to take care of or fix that either we missed or things that were just noted, but things that, the owner probably should take care of these, then we do that. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, if you're doing this on your own, might be a nice way to do it, is to do it with the tenant. So if you can coordinate the timing, hand over the keys, walk through the property with your tenant, show them where different things are, like the water cutoff and other kinds of things that they would be responsible for, example, like turning off hose bibs in the winter and turning them back on, or just things that you want them to be responsible for, like cleaning the gutters or whatever. Show them the property, walk through with them, answer any questions they have. That's a nice way to do it as well, and you sort of get to know your tenant that way. If you can do it that way, great. But either way you do it, just make sure that you do this inspection before they move in. Okay, so now that you've done all of that inspection, now you want to make sure that you keep and store your inspection report in a safe place. Digitally is best. So if you can use a software, great. If you can't, and you just make note through photos and written documentation, upload those all to one place into a file that's easy to find on your computer or in the cloud, and just make sure that you have it accessible, because you're going to need that down the road when you do a similar move out inspection for this tenant, so that you can compare the two. And again, photos are important because you can make notes of things. One example we had, I remember, was there was a cracked tile in a bathroom and the tenant said, no, it wasn't there. If we had made note of it and didn't really have pictures, you could dispute that, no, that wasn't that tile, or no, that was a different one, because in this particular bathroom there was, the tiles were kind of getting a little bit old, but we had specific pictures and we could see that exact tile was not cracked before and now it was. So there's not much the tenant can say. So don't forget those pictures, store them, keep them safe, and have them accessible for you for the future. And that's really it. So I know move-in inspections can sound kind of boring and they're time consuming, but it's really a game changer. And it can be a game changer in a bad way if you don't do them. So if you're a landlord, make sure you take the time, plan it out, be available, or hire someone to do it. We do a la carte services for some people in our area who don't use us to manage their property on a regular basis, but we offer inspection services. So there's probably somebody out there that does things like that knows exactly how to do it, and they can turn that report over to you and you have it available for yourself. And if you're a tenant, make sure that you take the opportunity to do your own move-in inspection so you can safeguard your deposit, because you don't want your landlord to not do it and then, they start charging you for things and that becomes a headache on your end. So whichever you are, whoever you are, make sure that you do that so you protect your own interests. So if you need a good move-in checklist, we've actually made one for you. So we've taken some of the things that we do in all the rooms and we've put it together, and there is a link below. You can download that for free. Take it and use it if it can help you. And it also lists a lot of the things that you should make sure you get from your tenant before they move in. I hope that was helpful. If you like this video, please share it. I hope you'll subscribe to our channel and keep getting updates for new videos that we put out. There's also another video related to deposits and rents. If you're interested, check this video out that can help you determine how to handle security deposits down the road. So thanks again for watching. Take care. See you next time.